What's up everyone, and welcome to an all-new ranking on Metroid Dread. Today I'm going to be ranking the areas from my least to most favorite. I gave it a few weeks to allow others to experience the game for themselves, and well, what better time to drop this ranking than now? Again, these are just my opinions, so if you would rank any of these areas differently, then let me know in the comments below. So without further ado, let's start with number 9. While this leads to a hard but stunning boss fight, the only thing gorgeous about this area is the arena. Other than that, there's nothing going on here, just pure silence. There is a specific place that you have to power bomb just to get to the final boss, but that's it. So even though it has an amazing fight and arena at the end, it just doesn't do it for me to put this map any higher on the list. This area is really nothing special in terms of design as far as any Metroid games go. It's an area filled with caves, machinery, lava, and more lava. Though the detail is still good, the feeling this area gives me is just, I've seen this area several times in other Metroids type of emotion. Let's go down a quick checklist of things that sound familiar about this area. Caves, check. Hot caves filled with lava, check. Lava that you have to traverse to get upgrades, check. Monster head from Super Metroid, check. That's basically what goes through my head whenever I enter this area. Other than the fact that Kraid is chilling in the depths of this place and there are a few puzzles here and there, it's really not that special of an area. It also gets a few bonus points for freezing over later in the game, all the more reason to leave it sitting at number 8. Stepping into this area, I had no idea what I was walking into, but holy crap, every enemy hits you with major damage. It starts off as a dark lab with a few enemies here and there, but once you start turning on the lights, you'll have to deal with creatures that take you to the bullpen, robots that shoot lasers, and has a crazy ground pound, floor saws that cut and explode, and so much more. Not to mention the enemy in this area is one of the worst to encounter given the fact that you're still technically at the beginning of the game, and you haven't even faced your third boss by this point. There's very small details that put this area on this place on the list, like the dead Corpheus being experimented on in the background, and the challenge of facing machinery turned on by hitting the power. Not exactly my favorite area, but still good enough to land this high on the list. When I saw the gigantic door opening up and having to be scanned to enter the area, I thought, aww, something big is about to go down, and sure enough, something big does happen. You're walking into an area filled with X-Parasites contained by Ravenbeak himself. Every bit of this area just shows the hopelessness of a race that seems to have fallen by the X-Parasite. Almost as if Ravenbeak trapped them in this area to keep the X distracted. Unfortunately, the boss in this area does not match the hype, but it does represent warrior's sacrifice for the cause of a psychotic leader. Leaving the area means the end of the entire planet as you know it. The X that you are subjected to fight in their containment take over the planet in mere seconds. It's a great halfway point in the game and a great place to me to be on this list. Oh, the majesty of this beautiful fallen area. Upon entrance, this wonderful palace-like building looks like it was just abandoned, and by the looks of it, this was truly once a great settlement of the Chozo. And if that doesn't do it for you, then the story that Quiet Rope tells will truly describe just how great this settlement actually was. Pre-X-Parasite, this area is relatively empty minus a few enemies here and there. Post-X-Parasite takeover, every enemy and their family is out to get you, and it seems non-stop, not to mention that both the bosses hit for enormous amounts of damage. From the background to the building of the map, this area truly deserves to be number 5. The scenery here depicts a beautiful futuristic city on a distant planet. Just as much is going on here as in Ferenia, but just a tad bit smaller of an area. This area was actually a really hard one to find a place for because while the enemies are not different at all, there's still something to be said about the level of design that was put into creating this place. The bosses are not at all that impressive, seeing as they're 2 Chozo soldiers. I do like the fact that you can watch one of these bosses following you in the background. For these reasons, this area has definitely earned its way this high on the list. know there's going to be a lot of you that ask, how is this area this high on the list? To that I say simple. It's the average feeling of emptiness that you feel at the beginning of a Metroid game, mixed with the perfect intro to the Emmy, plus the great balance of enemies, all with a great first boss, and you get Arteria at number 3. Not to mention that later in this game, this area freezes over due to the X, and well, I love me my snow areas. There are so many different elements that this place brings. Some of the most important items that you need to progress are here, and there's never really a moment that when you discover a new part of this area that you're not left guessing. And well, this seems to be the heart of it all. There just seems to be so much detail and emphasis put onto this area. It's hard for me not to put Arteria this high up. You know, up until this point, I haven't really talked about the music to each area, which also earned each area the spots that they're sitting in, but the next two really get my rocks off. This area has such a classic, eerie, and yet relaxing theme to it. Not to mention the environment itself just matches. Getting to see the creatures in the background is probably one of my favorite points to make for this area, especially since some of those creatures in the background are enemies on the actual map. From the exit from the elevator where you see creatures clearing the way for Samus, to seeing the huge energy-sucking creature in the background floating around, this place just does it for me. This maze of greenery comes with an amazing introduction to new enemy types. This map has a few different environments mixed into one. A mixture of forest and jungle with a little bit of water, and you have a beautiful scene, but nothing compares to number 1 on the list. OMG! Water levels in areas can be a hit or a miss for me, but this one knocks it out of the park. What did I ever do to deserve this watery goodness? The theme, the background of aquatic enemies, the enemies in the map, the submerged area with an entirely different theme that was even more amazing. I mean, what's not to love about this area? My first playthrough of the game, I had to stare at each area in awe and hope that on my next playthrough, the indescribable feeling this area gave me wouldn't wear off. And guess what? It was even better the second time. I can't believe they made such a beautiful area for a game that is supposed to fill you with such dread, hopelessness, and sorrow. If I had a happy place to go to, then this would be it. The enemies, of course, are a tad more powerful than the area before it, and each enemy keeps you on your toes. Not to mention that you are really forced to get your abilities to progress further below. This really just outdoes any other area on this list for me. And did I mention the themes? Man, those themes are so wonderful. I think this area deserves multiple placements on this list, but number 1 does it just fine. And that's it for this ranking. I hope you all enjoyed it. If anyone would change this list, then leave a comment below. I might come back for a boss ranking again since I completed the game on hard for my 3rd playthrough. Also, I will be coming out with a review for Fatal Frame Maiden of the Black Water, so make sure you stay tuned for that, as well as a Halo multiplayer mini review. But until then, you all be easy, and I'll see you next time.